Hi, everybody. I am Sherry Hudson-Passy from the SLIG committee, and I am thrilled to have with me right now a wonderful instructor, our DNA instructor who teaches us so many wonderful courses on DNA, and that's Karen Stanbary. And she has put together a brand new class for our fall virtual. And so I'm so excited to have her on here, and she's going to tell us all about it. It's going to be held on Fridays, starting on October 15th, and it runs through November 19th, and it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. That's Mountain Time, so it's a long day of learning. It's going to be so much fun. I think this is fabulous. Anything Karen puts together is fabulous. So I'm glad that she's here, and I'm going to ask her just to walk us through what is this course, what is your thoughts for this course, and how's it going to work?
Well, thank you for having me. I am very excited about this course. It is a hands-on course because my experience, and I had this very same experience when I first studied DNA methodology, was I took the beginning classes and I came out of it and really struggled with how to apply it to my own research. And so this course is specifically designed to take people from that beginning course where they understand the inheritance patterns of DNA and the different kinds of tools and references and things that we have available to properly interpret the DNA, but they now want to apply it in a meaningful way to their own genealogy. So the students are going to be working with their own data. I'm asking them in advance to select one ancestral line from a base test taker back to that base test taker's second or third great grandparents. And then we're going to walk through step by step how to prove that ancestral line in a way that meets all of the genealogy standards. So it's pretty exciting. In order to do this course, though, you do have to have the prerequisite of having taken a beginning DNA course, which could be at any institute, or the DNA, all DNA evidence analysis practicum counts for that. But fundamentally, we're not teaching inheritance patterns and tools in this course. We're teaching application. So it is the responsibility of the student to be able to come in with that knowledge already in their bag of tricks so that now they can apply it. We also, DNA, successful use of DNA to prove any kind of genealogical pedigree requires an integration of information from documentary sources and from genetic sources. So we're asking as a prerequisite that people understand an intermediate level genealogy methodology courses for doing documentary research, that they understand a broad variety of sources, and any of the intermediate genealogy courses at any of the institutes would satisfy that prerequisite. So the students coming in would then choose a line in advance and have the opportunity to be able to test some people if they don't have enough base test takers for this line. And it's going to be autosomal DNA. And then we'll teach you how to go through and prove it. When you leave the course, you will leave with a source-cited genealogy, including the proof of biological parentage from that base test taker back to the most recent common ancestral couple that meets genealogy standards. That genealogy will be, you have an option of composing it, creating it, within a special Word document template that my friend Brett Chadwick has developed. And he's actually going to be available in the class on the first day to guide people through getting that template set up, so that they can use it for their homework and to work on their line in from week 1 to week 2. So they have a week to be able to get that set up and running. At the conclusion of the course, they will also the students will have a graphic hypothetical descendant tree showing how all the base test takers and the focal study group test takers fit into one family tree. And then we always create in my courses a unique student generated golden nugget quick sheet, which are the handy tips and things that students discovered, because everybody discovers so much when they're working in their own data, that we're going to create that quick sheet of golden nuggets for all the students to take home with them. So it's best to learn the methodology on an easier case. Don't choose your hardest brick wall that you've been working on for 35 years and can't solve, and then has, multiple layers of pedigree collapse in it. Don't choose that kind of case to learn the methodology, because what we're trying to teach here is the methodology, and it's best to learn methodology on an easier case. Once you understand the methodology, you can apply it to your other lines and your other brick walls, and combine it with more advanced techniques to be able to blast through those brick walls. But choose one that's easy. Even, you already know it. So what you're going to do is you're going to document the parent-child relationships using documentary sources that meet the genealogy standards and the genealogical proof standard. And then you're going to prove that your documented pedigree based on records is consistent or not with the genetic DNA, with the biological relationships. So a good choice would be a well-documented line from a DNA test taker to his or her second great grandparents that is free of unknown parentage or pedigree collapse. And optimally, the student will want to use test results from second and third cousins on each of those grandparent lines of the base test takers to help them filter and sort that autosomal DNA match list, which is part of the methodology we will be teaching.
Wow, it sounds like a fabulous class, and you're right, it's so needed. It's so needed to actually walk through. It's one thing to walk through somebody else's case and try to understand how they did it, but when it's your own ancestors and you know them, you know the documents, you know everything around them that you've been able to find so far, to actually use them in a case, I feel like is probably the best way to learn that methodology. What a fabulous class you put together. This is wonderful. I'm so excited about it. Now, so if it's going to be from 9 in the morning to 4:15 in the afternoon, so I'm assuming that a lot of that time is going to be spent working on your case and maybe getting help with it throughout the day, or so that's a long day.
So those are good questions, and this is the first time we're doing it in this kind of a format, so I'm hoping to make it work. We can always adapt things as we need to adapt them when we go along. But my general plan here is to give people some introductions and some lecture type experiences in the morning or on the first day, and introduce them to some worksheets that I want them to complete. The worksheets are just designed to get people thinking about the questions they're trying to solve in broad terms, making sure that you're considering if you're ruling out other potential shared ancestral lines as the source of the shared DNA, just different kinds of worksheets, questions to ask yourself as you learn the methodology. And then in the afternoon, we always have some independent work time. Now, while that independent work time is going on, students can work on the assignments that they were given. They can work on the worksheets, whatever it is they're trying to get done by the next week, right? What the goal is for the next week's session. And during that time, myself and some of my faculty members are going to be available for one-to-one consultations. So the student can sign up and go into a Zoom breakout room with myself and some of my faculty, and just if they're getting stuck, if they need some extra advice, if they're having trouble getting the template set up, if they're, whatever it is that's going on that they have questions on, they're going to come in, Zoom in to our breakout rooms, and we're going to be there to give them one-to-one consultation time. And that happens every day that we meet. There will be time for students to sign up for these consultation times. Like, for example, the first day, we want to make sure you're starting on a solid foundation. So the first thing that I want you to come in and do is to establish what are the sources you're using to prove every parent-child link in that line of descent that you're going to be studying and proving with DNA. So you're going to come in and you're going to show us, I have these sources for this parent-child relationship, this parent-child relationship, this parent-child relationship on that line. And then your faculty is going to give you feedback about whether or not those are the best sources, if there's something else you might want to consider or look at to document that, and just make sure that it meets genealogy standards. And then that same first day, we're going to be helping people if they're struggling with getting their Word document template set up so that they can generate this genealogy summary, this genealogy in, in appropriate format with all of the standard numbering systems and everything else, similar to a kinship determination project. It's that format that we're teaching. So we want to make sure people are up and ready to go. So during the week, they can go ahead and enter in all of the data for those each generation, including their source citations, to have that solid documentary foundation, so that on the next day, on week 2, we're going to start using our autosomal DNA and sorting those matches to begin the process of proving biological parentage.
Wow, what a fantastic concept. It just makes sense, and it's going to be an enjoyable class. And then you're working on your own family. Now, you talked about a few members of your faculty. I know you said there's some were to be determined, so that you don't have a full listing yet, but can you kind of give a hint of some of those that you know will be there?
Sure. So I'll give you a hint. They're not all completely, I'll be there. So that's for sure. I'll be there. Angela Packer-McGee is going to be working with me on this. She has done this methodology multiple times. She created a webinar for BCG, for the BCG webinar series on this methodology. And so she's going to be helping me out, providing consultation. Jennifer Zink has agreed to help us out. She's going to be looking at people's cases, cold cases there, and trying to give suggestions or feedback on how to get through this process. And Nicole Dyer has agreed to work with us as well. She was one of our DNA Dreamers in one of the advanced courses and has worked quite a lot with DNA and is very excited to join us. She's also going to be providing a lecture on her Airtable system, where she keeps track of all of her autosomal DNA matches and tables in this Airtable thing. So it's a very comprehensive system that works for her, and I think people will be excited to see another option of how to organize that mass of DNA data you get when you're working with autosomal DNA.
Fabulous. What an exciting class. This sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for putting this together, you're so good about putting things like this together that people need, and filling that hole that we can see when it comes to learning about DNA. So I think this is going to be a fabulous, fabulous class. Registration starts soon. So I hope that this has helped give people a little taste of what your class is going to be about. And thank you for joining me today. And we will see everybody at SLIG. Bye, everybody.
Yes. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.